Pran and her friend Chanaka are working in their office when Pran begs her to accompany her to London on a short trip. She's willing to lend her suitcase, because she has two. But Chanaka negotiates other terms, where she expects a business class ticket and a 5-star hotel to stay in. Pran desperately needs Chanaka to come, because she's sure she'll panic, freak out, and mess up. So Chanaka suggests asking Pop, but Pran doesn't want her crush to turn into anything more, because she's scared of that as well. Meanwhile, Pop is flirting with another employee called Q when he hears all the clatter Pran and Chanaka are awkwardly making. Pran blabbers in nervousness, while Chanaka teases her about Pop. She reminds Pran that she struggles with Thai alone, so it'll be even harder for her to adjust to English, so she should really start working on those business class tickets. Dejectedly, Pran pleads her case that she's barely saving up for her own economy class ticket. Bo eats his lunch while he is on a video call with Four, who misses having Thai rice because it's very expensive in London. They seem like a healthy couple in a long-distance committed relationship, as he's even talking to her on the phone while he's working repairing cars. She wants him to buy bras for her, because she wants the same model available in Thailand. She uses this topic to seduce him into visiting her in London and coming away from Thailand for a while. She flashes him, but doesn't get as much excitement and response as she expected, as he's brutally honest with her. This is when Four's flatmate Youngwon steps inside the bathroom with her. He has helped Four since she moved there, and is a threat to Bo, who doesn't understand why Four talks more about him than her other friend Emma. When Bo voices his concern to Four, she gets the horrible idea of introducing her boyfriend and male best friend to each other, but Bo hangs up on her before that can happen. Pran doesn't want to go to London yet, because she still hasn't completed her internship, but Chanaka points out that this is just an excuse for her to not go away from Pop. She recommends Pran to find men in London, since there are lots of them there, but it's a slim chance because Pran isn't fluent in English at all. Chanaka insists that she should go nevertheless, for her brother-in-law's sake, who will understand all her problems about why she was so nervous to come to London in the first place. But Pran is already very stressed out about the whole situation, so Chanaka makes her do weird stuff to get some entertainment out of her friend's dilemma. When nothing else works, she works reverse psychology on Pran, that maybe she really shouldn't go, after which she realizes that she must go, for her sister Pen's wedding. Bo's commuting back to his house from work when he questions Four on the phone about whether she has shared with her friends that her boyfriend is a mechanic. They are goofing around when Four makes a cheeky remark again, but Bo has to hang up politely because he's almost arrived at his destination. They both race each other to their destinations, but Bo loses, so he must send her a virtual kiss now, which is low-key very cheesy, but fun for them. Jude's friends sit him down on a stool they're using as a makeshift hot seat. They question him about his reason for planning to go to London, and he responds with the ultimate truth, that he wants to bang a Westerner. They demand a demonstration of his English, which he'll use to woo the English people, but his vocabulary is only limited to the names of a few food items. He doesn't want his friends to underestimate him, because he is quite confident about this, so he places a bet of 40,000 baht with the video. He shakes his friend Juan's hand to seal the deal. Four is trying to catch up on her schoolwork in London and finish up on an essay, because she also has to give her time in another part-time job. Bo struggles with understanding or relating to her struggles. He advises her to finish her education in London, and then get a job in Thailand. However, she plans to have a career in London, because the pay is good, but she misses him. She wipes her tears away, which worries Bo that she's crying, even though she keeps insisting that she has dust in her eyes. He can't bear seeing her like this, so he proposes the idea of selling his old house to move to London. Four doesn't find this practical, because she doesn't see him adjusting well in London because of his language barrier. Nonetheless, Bo has made up his mind, and ends up selling the house eventually to be with her. Pran has just landed at the airport and Pen gives her a warm hug. She wants to catch up with her sister, who has come all the way from Thailand. But Pran prioritizes running the errand of getting a SIM card, as it's cheaper at the airport. Pen takes her out of the airport, and they travel via tube in London's cold weather. Pen is excited for her sister to meet her fiancé Michael, but Pran is scared that she'll get lost in this foreign city. Pen recalls the story of when she first met Michael. She had gone to the beach one random morning, and the wind had blown her scarf away. The next day she went to work at the clinic, where she met Michael, who was her patient. On day 3 she bumped into him in front of her flat, and realized that they were neighbors all this time, but she never knew it. She could see that he was wearing her blue scarf, which had actually flown into his face and caused him to fall when he was cycling 3 days ago on the beach. They both believed it to be destiny when they talked, and realized how fate was working to bring them together. The 8th day was the last day of his treatment from her, so he wrote a message on his back saying, "You're the apple of my eye." Pran doesn't really understand the meaning of this idiom, or what an idiom even really is, but she's glad to have a foreigner for a brother-in-law. The tattoo on Michael's back got a favorable response out of her, which launched the start of their relationship. Pen explains to Pran that Michael calls her June as they're approaching her house, and Pran should also introduce herself as Polly, because her name sounds too much like porn. This city is both exciting and confusing for Pran, as she is taking pictures in the subway when she accidentally points the camera toward a couple making out. The girl demands her phone in English because she wants to delete the photo where their privacy was invaded, but Pran gets overwhelmed because she doesn't understand the girl's language. Pran responds in Thai, but the girl gets agitated and starts walking toward her, so Pran freaks out and looks around for Pen, who is nowhere to be seen. So she runs away in panic and spends the majority of her time trying to hide from the rude British couple. Eventually, she spots a paperclip on the floor, which she picks up to open the SIM card slot in her phone so that she can insert the SIM she just bought from. But she drops the SIM on the floor because of how jittery she is, and is looking for it when a police officer checks up on her with a stern expression. He tries to help her out, but she struggles with not just answering, but understanding him as well. He gets suspicious of her and asks to see her passport, which is when she sifts through all her clothes, bags, and luggage to find it. Irritated, he asks her to stop, when a kind passerby picks up on the situation and jumps in to help Pran by translating for her. Her mediation helps Pran understand what the policeman was asking for, and she hands her passport to him, humiliated. She thanks the nice woman, and she teaches her to be more mindful of her English skills while traveling next time, because it inflicts a bad impression on Thai women in the UK. Pran sits down on the bench when her sister Pen finally finds her and they reunite. They get to Pen's house, and Pran clearly informs her that she will immediately go back after her wedding. But Pen elaborates that her marriage won't happen soon, because Michael had a bicycle accident, due to which he is still wearing a cast on his arm, so he won't be able to move or heal for several days. This is when Michael opens the door and welcomes Pran with a hug, which makes her uncomfortable, because that's not how men usually greet their sisters-in-law in Thailand. She awkwardly and wrongfully greets him in English, and makes a complete fool out of herself in front of Pen and Michael, because she accidentally told him that she wants to give him a job. Four talks pleasantly with Youngwon and gives him a hug, before he leaves her alone with Bo, who has just arrived. Bo is curious to know what they were talking about, so Four enlightens him on the fact that Youngwon was offering to swap rooms with her, because he has a bigger bed she can share with Bo. Bo doesn't want to take favors from his rival, and is fine with sleeping on the couch. He pulls out a bra for Four, which he brought from Thailand as per her demand, and reminisces about how awkward it was for him to make it past security, and show this bra. Four offers to pay for the lingerie he brought over, but he insists that it's a gift. He takes her hands in his, and playfully reaches out his hand for a kiss, but Four pushes him off at the right time as her British friend Emma jumps in to meet Bo. All Bo can do in return is smile widely at her, because he doesn't understand a word she says. Jude is finally in London, and expresses his desire to sleep with London women to a fellow senior Thai lady, who is also his boss. She gives him an important pointer that since London women don't smile as much, if they smile at him, then it probably means he has a shot. Jude is at work in a kitchen when he checks out his British co-worker Katie, who has a nice butt. He keeps staring at her like a puppy begging and willing to play, but she avoids his piercing gaze and keeps a solemn face while focusing on her work. He keeps washing the dishes, while fixing his eyes on her. She tastes a dish and accidentally smears some of the sauce on her lips. He points and signals to her, and she smiles and licks it off her face when she finally understands. Jude flashes a toothy grin in return too. But it's too bad that he has a huge green stuck in his teeth, which instantly wipes the smile off Katie's face for a second, after which she chuckles lightheartedly. Pen advises Pran to take English classes to help with her nerves, but she sees no point in it, because she has been learning English since childhood, and nothing has been achieved so far. Yet, the circumstances in Pran, Jude, and Bo's life bring them together in an English class where they're learning from the basics. Strangely, a French guy in the same class looks at Pran with her tongue sticking out trying to pronounce a syllable. She catches him looking and gets anxious at his flirtatious advance. Jude and Bo discuss how it was difficult for them to understand the instructor after class, and Pran joins them, because she's also Thai. They all introduce each other, and Jude points to Ong Tuan, his friend, the French guy who has a crush on Pran. She freaks out, because she can't talk to guys. Jude is sure that she's a goner, because French people greet each other with French kisses, according to him. This scares off Pran, and she runs away from Ong Tuan until Michael catches her. He walks away to fetch a taxi for both of them, while Pran jumps on a bus to escape from Ong. But he catches up to her and stands behind her with an intense expression. He confesses to liking her, but a bump from another passenger leads to Pran slapping Ong, and he gets off the bus with an aching face. Yet he doesn't give up, as he asks Jude to teach him Thai so he can talk to Pran. All Jude teaches him is an inappropriate phrase, because he believes them to be alike. Youngwon talks to Bo and requests him to take over a part-time job for him because he's busy with the project. Bo, still unable to understand, says yes to every sentence and unknowingly agrees to this commitment, while Four is proud of his progress. She lets him know that she won't be able to take him to give out handouts because she has an exam. So Bo agrees to manage on his own, even though Four gives him the option to refuse Youngwon. Jude practices his first conversation with Katie and attempts it when they both step out of the kitchen into an alley on their break. He mumbles the words to offer her to eat with him, but his efforts are futile, because she walks away before he can properly enunciate the words. Pran hides from Michael, trying to avoid him, and all it does is weird him out. Pran admits to Pen how she has been avoiding her fiancé, even though she ultimately wants to get to know her future brother-in-law. After their next class, Pran invites Jude and Bo to go shopping and cook at her place so that they can practice English together. Ong also crashes the party, and Jude introduces him as Pran's boyfriend in front of Pen. Michael feels left out among all of them, because they don't interact much with him, so he calls his mom. Jude plays with Katie's food in the most obscene way, and gets flipped off by her, because she takes it as him disrespecting her work. Michael reasons with Pen over the phone, who is mad at him for some reason, and it looks like they're in the middle of a fight. Pen later breaks the news of her breakup with Michael to Pran, and goes on about how she returned home and didn't find him there, so he called him. Even though they both speak and communicate in the same language, the difference between their cultures is still a problem, because they find different meanings in the same words, which makes communication tricky for them. Bo returns from handing out flyers and catches Four heading out with her hair dripping wet, when she is supposed to be at her exam right now. He means to ask her about it, but she rushes out, as she's getting late. But then he watches Youngwon stepping out of the bathroom wearing a towel, holding Four's bra in his hand, saying she forgot it. As he scurries away from Bo, while still holding the bra Bo bought for Four in his hand, Bo gets to thinking. Jude's Thai boss reprimands him for teasing Katie, especially when she's mute, and that's when he realizes why his advances weren't getting through to her. As Pran and Pen talk more, it comes up that they argued because Michael didn't find it believable that Pran and others were scared of English, but that they disliked him. Youngwon gets dressed for work, and is about to leave when Bo grabs his hand. Youngwon speaks in English, and like always, all Bo can say is yes. Pen is adamant about canceling her wedding, because she suspects that they both won't ever understand each other properly, and Pran suspects that this issue has surfaced because of her. Bo is out with Four, Youngwon, and Emma, and he finally sees all the signs of how Four has been distant from him. So he confronts her about how long she's been with Youngwon. Four replies that she's shy, because he got visibly hard when he saw her after so long. Jude returns to the kitchen to apologize to Katie, but she gets bothered and his boss kicks him out in front of her. Four runs away from Bo, because Youngwon is having a complete meltdown because he'll have to come out to his mother on the phone. Bo doesn't know any of this, because he doesn't understand English, and is insecure because of his own inability to speak English and fit in with the Westerners. Four attempts to make him understand, but accidentally does that in English, and realizes it when he points it out. Jude calls his friends and accepts that he lost the bet. Bo finally sees Youngwon's truth when he takes off his shirt and is seen wearing lingerie inside. He realizes that he feels stupid because of his struggle with English, and breaks up with Four because they're worlds apart. He packs his bags and decides to leave. He later meets up with Jude and tells him everything, because he wants to crash at Ong Tuan's until he finds a ticket to return home. Jude feels even more stupid than Bo, because he went to apologize to a mute and got fired. Pran arrives there and requests to ask Ong Tuan to give her a lift to Michael's home, because she wants to resolve a serious misunderstanding. Jude and Bo can't convey this to Ong Tuan because of their poor English, so Pran braces herself and overcomes her two fears at once as he agrees to drop her at Michael's place. Michael has just vented to his mother about his problems with Pen, and leaves her house on his bicycle minutes before Pran gets there. She and Ong Tuan watch with sympathy as Pen talks to his mother, and comes out of the house with tears in her eyes. Ong Tuan gets directions from Pran to drop them home, and Pen sadly throws her scarf out of the window, because it reminds her of Michael. Pop asks Chanukka about when Pran will return from her trip. Seeing his interest in her, Chanukka offers to take him to Pran, as long as he flies her business class with him. Pen steps into her clinic to find Michael as her patient waiting for her. He wraps her blue scarf around her neck, as it had flown into his face again when she threw it out. Taking this as a sign of destiny, he proposes to her properly. Pen agrees with a wide grin and thankful tears in her eyes. Pran happily tells Bo and Jude about Pen's upcoming wedding, and since she's her only family, she'll have to give a speech too. Pran is masking her nervousness with excitement, but her friends can see right through her. Still on her high horse, Pran decides to sing at the wedding as well. Jude warns her that she shouldn't go overboard with this, or she'll end up becoming a laughing stock at Pen's wedding. On the other hand, Ong Tuan practices with her in English, and appreciates and encourages her to continue with this venture. It's the wedding day, and Michael enters Pen's decorated house in traditional Thai groom attire, and even follows all Thai customs. Afterward, Michael and Pen take Pran and all her friends to the reception location, where Ong Tuan explicitly shows how much he likes Pran, and elaborates on his future traveling plans. Bo is pleasantly surprised to see how they both have begun to not only talk, but understand each other too. They listen to a song together with one set of earphones and smile fondly at each other, gazing into each other's eyes. The chemistry between them is so undeniable that Pran doesn't understand what the song is talking about, but it still touches her heart. Their date goes on as they take a walk in the park, and Prawn mentions Pop, and how she accidentally pulls his pants down one day, even though he was her crush. She doesn't have high hopes for her one-sided love with him, and notices that her scarf must have slid off her neck while walking. She turns around and sees Pop, picking it up from the ground and smiling at her. Pop puts the scarf around her neck and tells her that he misses her, which makes her flustered. Ong Tuan can feel his heart getting broken. As Prawn hugs Chinoka, standing between Ong Tuan and Pop, she feels like she has to make a choice. Ong Tuan leaves in distress, and Pop catches the bride's bouquet. When it's time for Prawn to give her speech, she can see both her potential matches rooting for her. Prawn confidently delivers her grammatically correct but pointless speech that comprises catchphrases from different songs and movies, and starts singing an English song for her sister. Everyone starts clapping to the rhythm of the song with her, under the impression that she's singing a Thai song because of how poor her enunciation is. Nevertheless, everyone enjoys it with her. Later, Pop catches up to her and asks her to come back to Thailand with him. Jude and Bo are embarrassed about their love lives, because even Prawn did better than them, even seeing how weird she is. Ong Tuan decides not to give up and pursues Prawn. He runs after the car Prawn, Chinoka, and Pop are in, as they're heading for the airport. She listens to some music with Chinoka, which brings back warm memories of Ong Tuan, until Pop plays a Thai song for her, which conveys his feelings for her in a language she understands, but doesn't find heart-touching. Bo calls for and apologizes to her for not trying hard enough to keep her. Her surroundings look different, so he asks her about her whereabouts, and it turns out that she flew to Thailand, while he reveals that he's standing outside her flat in London. He tells her not to cry, and rushes to get to her in his homeland. They make up and race to get to each other. Jude brings Katie some flowers and apologizes to her in Thai, but she ignores him. He tries again the next day with different flowers, and makes her laugh this time. They get closer, and she accepts both his flowers and apology with a warm and welcome smile. Prawn goes after Ong Tuan and serenades him with her adorable and quirky singing. So Ong Tuan leaves his truck and takes her hand to roam around in the streets of London. Bo and Four spend most of their time on call, counting the moments until they'll be reunited again. Prawn, Bo, and Jude, all three are in London. One of them will explore there before moving on, the second will leave soon, and the third one will settle his life there. But for now, they all have smiles on their faces, because they are happy, content, and in love.